Let me begin, since one or two were towards me. I'm just going to say one thing, a piece of a way to think about our challenge with Russia, which a couple of you mentioned. And it also picks up on a subject that Mara mentioned in passing in her opening thoughts, which is, how do you imagine beginning to rebuild Syria? And I think there has to be a way that we do this that is at least not incompatible with Russia's interests, because Russia's got too good of a foothold now, and pushing them out is going to be too hard, and reopening the whole war to push out Assad and Russia is not realistic in my judgment. So what I'd like to see us try to do is work harder at developing a strategy, and actually John Allen and I have written about this, where multilateral aid organizations and the United States can try to help reconstruction occur in parts of Syria that are not under Assad's direct control in the first instance, and try to create thereby not only humanitarian relief, but even some beginnings of governance structures. It doesn't have to be a permanent concept of creating autonomous regions or confederation within Syria, but it's a way to, in a sense, help the Sunnis in Syria, but at the same time recognize the power realities, that Assad's still in position, that Russia's still behind him. And what we can hopefully aspire to is a situation in which we sort of use economic leverage over time to try to help cajole and push Assad out of power, because he's not going to get this big aid package in areas that he controls as long as he's still president, by the concept that I'm articulating. In other words, this is a very, maybe it sounds hopelessly complicated, I think it's a nuanced approach that's realistic. Use economic leverage to try to help those parts of Syria where we have some influence and access, and over time use that as a more indirect way to incentivize Assad out of power in Damascus. And it recognizes that Russia's role is not going to go away even if we wanted it to. That may be something that others agree with or not, but I think it's the beginning of a realistic way to think about how we work with Russia, or at least deconflict our approaches inside of Syria.